There are seasons for every matter under heaven. Right now, the season of your life probably isn't maybe to have some people over to your house. Maybe the season of your life is for you to be the one going, here I am, have me over to your house because I need help. I need a breather. I need something. Can you come watch my kids for me? Can you come help me? Can you, that's the season of life you're in. Let that be your rally cry this year.
You are listening to the Famous at Home podcast with Dr. Josh and Christi Straub.
Because when it's all said and done, we all want to know that we were famous at home. Welcome back to the Famous at Home podcast. Today, we're talking about getting free in 2023 with your family. Before we do, here's a word from our sponsors. Okay, so today we're talking about being free in 2023.
You really love that.
I do. Well,
I love
it's corny. That's why I like it. It's corny. But we're talking about...
It is talking about what we want to talk about, though.
Well, and flowing out of our conversation last week on screens is we want to make sure that... Why are we doing this? What is the whole point of going, well, I just want to, make my phone as antiquated as possible? What is the whole point of making some of these decisions? To me, the entire point comes to relationships. It comes down to being famous at home. And it comes down to, which is what we really rephrased our tagline, your coaching go-to for emotional health in your marriage, kids, and workplace. We're doing coaching in workplaces. We're doing coaching, parent coaching. We're doing marriage coaching. Why? Because it's about emotional health. The screen has been one of those things for me that has really helped me prioritize my emotional health in a whole new way. But in that, the healthier I am, the healthier I can be to show up for other people. And as Christi and I sat down to look at 2023 this year and what we wanted to prioritize for our family, it was relationships. And that's why some of these decisions are being made. And so today's episode is really all about challenging each of us, encouraging each of us. How can we foster deeper relationships in 2023?
I think when you take something away from your life, you have to be comfortable or at least be willing to endure that really awkward space of when there's a void because you're used to fullness. So your whole nervous system is actually going to react like, I liked it when it was loud before because that's what it's used to. It just likes what's familiar. And so anything new feels unsafe. So what I have noticed in my removing, especially of social media, so I've been off social media for probably 3 months now, maybe more. I don't even know. I don't miss it. I'll be totally honest. I don't miss it at all. I do miss knowing sometimes I'll think about people and realize the only way I knew what was going on in their life was by social media, which means I'm actually not communicating. I'm not in relationship with them. I'm in relationship with what they present on social media. So it's caused me to reach out to people and call people. I called a friend the other day. And she was like, oh my gosh, is this how this thing works? She's like, nobody calls me. And I was like, oh, I was just driving. And I think that's I think it's funny that we call a phone antiquated, but it's kind of, I guess, what it's become. But for me, what I've realized in that void, when you eliminate something from your life and there's all of a sudden silence, being very careful what you put back in and realizing, talking about emotional health, your emotional health doesn't just improve because things get quiet. Is that a good environment? Sure. But can that also breed basically it's what a recluse does, right? Where you just siphon yourself off from the world and it's actually not good for your emotional health. It becomes this cave where your sinful thoughts just bounce off walls and come back in your ears. I noticed my critical voice got louder. I noticed I felt angrier, actually. And I think some of that is you're actually dealing with the things that you were using social media and distraction for to avoid. So some of that is good. But how are we renewed? By the transforming of our minds, which means we do need new inputs coming in. You can't just eliminate all external influence and think you're just going to be living some blissful, glorious life. You're still there. And so all your sin and stuff is still there. And I realized how important it is to change then the inputs. You're just changing an input from social media and a phone to what I needed was the Word of God, prayer, really good books that are actually sharpening me. And then I needed people. I needed community. I needed friends. I needed relationships. And I needed those inputs and nature, I will say, and nature. There's a stillness and a healing that comes through nature. But I think that's just the voice of God. But I want to just say that because that has been my experience the last 3 to 4 months, is that you actually really have to be careful when you take things out, what you intentionally put back in. And we realized for us, it was just diving into God, his presence, his word, and then his people. And the people part is, I think, what we want to talk about more today. We've talked about spiritual growth and development in other ways, but today to talk about it and really in the way of relationships and how not just the importance. I think we could all say that that's important, but like living it out, how to open yourself up again when you're used to being kind of like a closed system that just exists. Like our family could be pretty closed off. And I think in years past,
we're both introverted.
Yeah, we're
first
both,
of all.
and we are full lives that, I think are in our self-protection, we want to like circle the wagons and stay like just close and tight just with our family, because that feels safe. Because when you do spend time working with people outside of your system, but you're the one pouring out, people start to feel unsafe to you. Like people start to feel like they cost you, they take from you. And I needed to relearn that people can actually pour back into me. I'm not like some endless source that other people aren't able to they're not going to fill me. I know that, but they can pour into me. And I need to open myself up to allow for that.
Yeah, so good. And I, as I've gotten rid of things, getting rid of all the apps on my phone and that type of thing, I have been paying more attention to what is it that is bringing me life? What are the things in my life that bring me life versus what are the things that just dull? It's not even like there's some of it's overwhelm, some of it leads to overwhelm, some of it leads to anxiety, but the other part of it is it's just a dulling. And I think we all need to go through and try things out in our lives in order to come to a place. I had a good friend of mine many years ago in the business sector described to me the idea of simplicity on the other side of complexity. And I think every single one of us needs to go through the complex. We have to have Instagram. We have to try it. We have to try all the Facebook and all these, TikTok or whatever people try.
I've never tried that, but
never tried that either. We're just afraid of the Chinese. That's what it comes down to. Right? I don't want them having my data. I don't know. It's like, no, it's like, I just.
Like they don't already.
I don't, yeah, right. Like I don't need another thing following me.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, whether it's your business, your job or whatever. I think we need to try on things. We need to fail at things. We need to make mistakes. Right. We need to get out. We need to accomplish and achieve things to come to a place and realize, well, that was awesome. But at the end of the day, that also isn't the most fulfilling thing in my, that didn't complete me.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, how many, you think of the pinnacle, right? You think of winning the Super Bowl. Like how many Super Bowls do you need to win before you realize, oh, I've reached it, and this is who I am, and I've discovered who I am.
And I still wake up feeling
literally
the same.
Tom Brady has made the same comment. Like he's still in it because he doesn't feel like he's done yet. He doesn't want to give it up. He's won more Super Bowls than any quarterback in the history of football, right? It's like you're still going to be left longing. And I think it's important, again, I think that simplicity comes on the other side of complexity. We have to try things out to see what leaves us still longing. But I'm at a place where I want to find those things that are bringing me life. And in the past, the things that I would look at and go, oh my goodness, this is this is going to be, number one, exhausting, or this is going to drain me because I am introverted, meaning I gain my energy from being alone. And if I'm with people too often, too many days in a row, I feel completely depleted. And so I have to be very careful about my schedule so that I'm getting the alone time I need to be present with people in a way that's healthy and helpful. And we all need that. If you don't understand how your body clicks in that regard, you could get drained pretty quickly. But this new sense of vision and simplicity and that type of thing really has helped us make certain decisions for our family this year that we want to instill, values we want to continue to instill in our kids, or instill in our kids in new ways. And we're going to talk about those specific things very practically, because we want you to be able to make this practical for your own life. We're going to talk about that as soon as we come back from the break. All right. So what are some of the things, Christi, that we have decided to do this year that will, like, what are the things that we have added? I can talk about the things that I've personally added. There's, because obviously I don't have my phone trailing me now. I don't have emails trailing me. Emails were a big one, but now it's like I've got.
Do you feel so free?
I feel amazing. And I feel even more amazing when I'm waking up in the morning and I'm getting an hour of alone time, and then I'm working out for a half hour.
Okay, I need to get back on that rhythm.
So I'm like, I had an hour and a half this morning before anybody was out of bed. I had an hour with God and a half hour working out before anybody even woke up. And it was just that right there.
I'm feeling convicted.
The whole day.
Yeah.
It changes my entire, it changes everything for me in my entire day. Just that alone.
Post New Year, I've not gotten back in that rhythm. I don't know why. I think I'm staying up later, and so then
you are staying up later. I can't hang. I'm a lightweight.
Do you want to know what I'm actually staying up to do? Everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, this will give you insight into me." I'm staying up. I love to puzzle. We call it puzzying.
She's a puzzler.
I love puzzles, and winter is like, I call it puzzy season because it's like, wait, what else do you do? It's dark at like 5. And so to me, it's like the most nourishing, comforting, calming thing is to open my puzzle, and like a new one. And I have a puzzle table, and
you do. My dad got you that.
Your dad did get me that.
Let me try something here. She's a puzzler.
Is that laughter?
Oh, that didn't even do anything, did it?
Oh, he's trying to play with the button.
Oh, you know why? Because they're not up.
Oh, my Lord.
She's also a bird watcher, too. Look at that.
Oh, that's actually true.
Yeah. Yep.
I've just become an older soul.
There she is. She's a puzzler, everybody. Look at that. There we go.
Are they cheering for me?
They're cheering for you.
I didn't have a headset on. I just love it. It's so relaxing to me. But I get like into it, so I can't stop. Like everyone who you either love puzzles or you don't, and I don't judge you. That's totally fine. For those that don't, like Josh doesn't even really, he don't even really do it with me.
I used to do it all the time with my Mimo when I was growing up. Like as a kid, I would enjoy doing puzzles. It doesn't calm me or like, it just takes up a lot of space in our living room is what it does for me. I'm being honest.
Anyway, I love it. And so I've been staying up late and working on my puzzles, and I just love, but that's sort of my like decompress alone time. It's not the same as waking up early. I totally agree. But I just need to get into a new rhythm.
This is what I encourage you guys to do as a family. Like find the things that are draining in your life. Like find the things that are not helping you feel free in 2023. Find the things that are a drain to you as a family and pull them out. Like we just had a family meeting about soccer, basketball, dance, drums, piano. Like we went through all of our kids' activities, the things that they want to do, don't want to do this year, where they say they want to do, but they don't necessarily want to. Like we are going, like we're a hard, if they're not in it, we're not in it either as a family. Like we're not just gonna try, like we've been in the past trying things on them and that type of thing. Now it's like, if you're into it, great. If you're not, we're not doing it. And
it's not worth the cost to the whole family.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And so now it just got clarity moving forward as a family. We're more intentional about things that we're doing with our kids, which we'll talk more about in future episodes as we implement certain things in our lives. But, camping, as we talked about in the past, has been one of those. But this year, another one of those for us has been just a simple reading a book every night as a family. We're currently going through the Chronicles of Narnia and just sitting around in the living room because that's where we have to gather with Christi doing her puzzle. We sit around the puzzle and we read the Chronicles of Narnia. Or any book series
could anything
or anything
be better? Like I heard like I can picture that visual and I'm like, that's bliss right there.
But it was one of those
happy.
decisions that we just made, and we're like, okay, we're gonna read together as a family every night, and you just do it. Because in the past it'd be like, oh my gosh, we got to get this person to bed. We got to clean up dinner. We got to do this. We don't have enough time. You do have enough time. The question is what are you doing with the time? Yeah. And I think for us, getting rid of screens has helped us add other things in our lives that we want to, that are fulfilling and that are filling us up. And the conversations we're having with our kids as a result of some of these stories. And it's just, it's life-giving.
Speaking of gathering your family around and reading something, maybe for like 10 days or so, we have a little announcement to make.
We got a big surprise Christi announced at the end of last week's episode that we didn't even talk about in this week's episode just yet, but we're going to announce it right now because Christi wanted to do that in the middle of this, which is great.
It feels like it flows naturally, and I don't want to add it at the end because you might not listen to the end.
Yeah.
But if you're watching on YouTube, you might have seen it last week on the bookshelf behind us.
We got a brand new book coming out. We would love for you to get it, called The 10 Days of the Easter Story, a family experience through the feelings of Holy Week. Yes.
Now you should push the button. Yellow.
There it is, everybody. 10 Days of the Easter Story, a family experience through the feelings of Holy Week, plays off of our 25 Days of the Christmas Story, an Advent family experience. This takes the feelings of everything that we're doing, from what do I do with worry to what am I feeling to everything. It really combines everything we do into a devotional for families. It starts on Palm Sunday, and it walks you through the stories of Holy Week from Palm Sunday all the way to the resurrection, through Peter's restoration, through because it goes on beyond Easter into the Great Commission. And so from Jesus flipping the tables in the temples, to Mary anointing Jesus's feet, to the Last Supper and all the surprise that happened at the Last Supper and what the disciples were experiencing, the fear, the sadness, the happiness of Palm Sunday. I mean, there were so many emotions during that period of time that's mind-boggling, that we want to bring the Easter story alive to your children and to your family, and the way to do that is through emotion. That's what the 10 Days of Easter Story is all about. We can't wait for you to go through it as a family this year. It's going to be amazing. Link is in the bio or the show notes or wherever it is, whatever show notes. Link is in the show notes. Go check the link out.
If you sit around the living room and mom has the puzzle,
read
and
10
dad
days of
can
the Easter
read
story.
10 Days of the Easter Story. That was my tie-in. But I really like that book. Probably has been one of the most, after 25 Days of the Christmas Story, if you're familiar with that one, we just had a lot of families ask, like, have you ever considered doing an Easter devotional? Because I would love to actually make the Easter story, which is kind of a hard story really to translate to kids because it's a lot of hard things. And so we're like, what if we did this through feelings? Like every child feels, and so they can relate to what Jesus and his disciples, what everyone walked through during that week. And so we're really excited about it. Josh, can you say what you said to me the other day? You were flipping through it when we actually got it. So the boxes
I'm really proud
came
of
in.
it. Yeah, I'm really proud of this. This is one of those, like, I'm really genuinely proud of it. I'm proud of the way that it turned out. I'm proud of the way that the artwork looks. Angelica did our illustrations. She's amazing. Like, I'm really proud of this particular one. And by the way, you want to make sure that you get it, because go to Amazon, pre-order it, get it right away. It does release February 7th. We would love for you guys to get it early, because just not sure how many Amazon will keep, but go ahead and do that.
Well, yeah, and that's why we realized the last two Christmases, they've sold out of 25 Days of the Christmas Story. And
on
so
Amazon.
I want it on Amazon. You can always get it at Lifeway.com.
And other places.
Yeah. But just to say, if you want it for this Easter, I am telling our podcast family now, because it would be helpful. If you pre-order it, you'll get it, versus people who wait till after. If they run out, they won't have it in time. So
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to say it today, because I
love it.
think that's why.
We are going to do some episodes on it as well. So if you're part of our podcast family, we're going to do some episodes on the Easter story, and we'll walk through some of them and talk a little bit about it and how you can translate that to your children.
And for yourself. Like, truthfully, what I'm most excited about for it is the days after Easter. I don't know about you, if like Easter comes up as you like a surprise every time, and then Easter Sunday is always so powerful, and then it's just over and you feel like you missed it. Well, this walks through the days after as well. And I think that's where you actually sit in what Easter is. Like, it's just so cool.
And so
I've never done that before. So
let's go back to, so another thing that's bringing us to life as a family this year is community.
Nice
and
circle back.
We're adding, I'm trying to close the loop. We're adding people into our lives this year. And we have done that, I think, better. And part of that reason is because, again, I think the thing that I'm learning in my life, and it's funny how this becomes like a vlog in a way, this podcast, but I think the thing that I've learned in my life is the simpler I make it, the more life it brings me. Mm. And the smaller my world becomes, the more life it brings me. And that means relationships locally. We have invested more in our church, in terms of our time and what we're giving into our church this year in the last number of months than we've ever really done as a family. We are, we had a marriage team here. We have our leadership team here. Like, we've had people here in our house, here in 2023 already, so many times.
We have more people in our home now than we probably ever have. Like, in a week. Well, and I realize, like, we do this, you do this examine, which some of the prayer apps Josh talked about last week encourage that process where you just like look back through the week. But I realize so much of it is people. Those are the highlights of my week. It's when I was with this person, or these people came over, or even with like coaching, it's like coaching this person, like this couple, and like this breakthrough, and how it's people. It's always people. And that's what makes a life, is people. And we are feeling that. And I notice our kids are feeling that. Like, yeah.
And I would say this too. And like, this is not like we're having neighbors over for dinner. Like, never did we used to do that. And not because we didn't want to, but there was
bandwidth. It was honestly bandwidth. It didn't even occur to you because you're like barely making it through the week.
Right. And I think there's seasons of life for this, for people. Like, you've got to be able to know the season of life that you're in to know what is bringing you alive. Mm-hmm. And my whole point of this episode for you, if you're listening, is where can you, just like last week's episode, what is one strategy you can make to, in your screen time life, bring your soul alive? What is one strategy you can implement into your family this week or this year that brings your family alive? Yeah. And you've got to, find that. You've got to pay attention to it. If you don't pay attention to it, I mean, you can say it's bandwidth. You could say it was selfishness. There was probably a little bit of both mixed in there. We just didn't do it. Now we're doing it and we're like, wow, this is life-giving. This is awesome.
It does cost you though, right? Like, it costs energy.
100%.
And you actually have to keep your house clean. The number of times the kids are like, we have to clean again. I'm like, yes, we do. Because
I've
there's
vacuumed
more people
more
coming
times
over.
in the past month than I have vacuumed in the last couple of years.
And you've mopped the floor.
It's great.
You've been so.
But even in those things, I'm finding I have time for it. Yeah. It's like I'm creating space to mop and to vacuum. And
I feel like we've become a family team around that, right? Yeah. Where the kids are doing their jobs. They know, like, people are coming over. We got to get the drinks out, the food out, like, and they like kind of get to know what to do. Josh knows, like, I had a back injury from college. And so like vacuuming is still the one thing that bugs me. And he just does it. And he does it just feels like I'm not the only one doing it. It's the whole family team.
Yeah. And the thing that I would encourage you is to think about how you can have purpose as a family this year.
Yeah.
So what is one thing that will give your family purpose? And we talk about this in the Famous at Home book. If you're a new podcast listener, you can go check out the Famous at Home book. We'll put that in the show notes. But really finding your mission as a family and giving your family direction and purpose. What ends up happening in our culture is we individually each have our own purposes, and this person goes to this school, and this person goes to this school, this person goes to this job, this person goes to this job. Everybody's individually separating, and everybody comes back into the home, and then everybody goes in their screens, and nobody's really communicating, and we just are getting through life.
Yeah.
And we don't want to live that way. To us, being famous at home is not about that. It is genuinely about how do we live at the best versions of ourselves in Jesus so that we can have purpose and mission and be advancing God's kingdom in how we lead and love others. Which, by the way, next week's episode is going to be amazing. My friend Jordan Rayner talking about the word before work and just really talking about, and this is not just about people who work. This is about moms. This is about, stay-at-home parents. This is about dads who are, stay-at-home dad, like anybody. Like there is a work that you are called to do. And whether that work is your job or whether that work is like Christi today, homeschooling the kids, what does it look like to get the word before work and the importance of that? It's just a great episode that really flows well out of what we're talking about here, because we want to help you set your life in such a way that you're proud of your rhythms, that you feel free, that you feel that you have space for people, that you have space for yourself. And I know there's so many of you who are in early seasons of life parenting, and it is so difficult. We've been there. Again, if you're in that season, you haven't picked up the book or you haven't really heard our story, we encourage you. We talk about that in our book. That is our story. It was really, really rough years. Yeah. And some of these conversations we're having right now, it could make you feel guilty, or it could even sound judgmental, like, oh my gosh, well, I haven't done this and I haven't done that because, or I can't do this because, listen, we're not trying, there's no condemnation, right? And for those in Christ Jesus, let this be encouragement. Now, if the Holy Spirit's convicting you to do something, then let Holy Spirit convict you to do something. But I just really want you to hear there are seasons for every matter under heaven. Right now, the season of your life probably isn't maybe to have some people over to your house. Maybe the season of your life is for you to be the one going, here I am, have me over to your house because I need help. I need a breather. I need something. Can you come watch my kids for me? Can you come help me? Can you, that's the season of life you're in. Let that be your rally cry this year. Yeah. Find your rally cry. I love that. Patrick Lencioni talks about your rally cry. The one thing that you really want to focus on as a family that will bring life to your family, or that you need to do to bring life to your family over the course of 3 or 4 months. What is your rally cry as a family right now? It might be harder to set a mission, or it might be easier to set a rally cry than it is to find your mission as a family currently. At least let your current rally cry for your family get you through till you set a mission for your family. What is that rally cry right now that you can get around as a family? I wouldn't say that we have defined that specifically as a family, but I think that if I could take a stab at it, it would be that our rally cry currently is to simplify and invite. Like we're simplifying our lives and inviting others into it. And I would say that's our rally cry. We're doing everything we can to simplify and invite. And so find your rally cry. What is that thing for your family that you can rally around that will get your family to come alive?
Yeah. And I think for I just keep those young moms in those early seasons of life, my first thing was reaching out for friends. I needed the input of just friends, to just women, mentors, like voices that just spoke into me. Like, I see you, you're doing a fabulous job. You don't need to do anything else. Like, I just needed those inputs. So to even put that on the calendar, is it like once a week, once every other week, something where you like actually get together with a friend and see outside of your little space, like that brought so much life to me. And I realized like we talk about that season in Famous at Home. I talk about that a lot with moms, and it's so like, I go right there. I go right back to the emotion. I'm so grateful for where I am now, but like, I'm so not far removed from what that was. I remember what that was like. And I thank you for saying that, Josh, because I want not one iota of what we say now in our season. We have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old. I am a different person, and I praise God for his restoration and his healing in my life. But I know what it is like to be in that season. And if you need help, I'll just put this out there too. If you need help for someone, if you don't have people in your circle and you need someone to walk alongside you, that is literally what we do in a coaching, especially for women with me in those just heavy burden seasons of life. Like that is my joy. That is my gifting. And I would love to do that. So you can always reach out at famousathome.com if you're interested in coaching for that.
Love it. So find your rally cry this week.
Yeah.
As a family, sit down, make it a point to do that. I just would really encourage it. And until next week, keep in mind that the greatest red carpet you will walk is through your front door.
Keep being famous at home.